The Federation of International Basketball Associations, FIBA, estimates that approximately 450 million people play the sport of basketball around the world, either recreationally or through a structured operation, making your hunger and desire to improve your skill set in the sport even more desirable to give yourself a competitive edge and put yourself in a position to win. Well, at Shoot 360, they're on a mission to do just that. It was founded as basketball's finest shooting and ball handling training gym. They've implemented the most up-to-date technology to make you the best shooter and overall basketball player you can be. Our overall goal is to help basketball players maximize their fullest potential, grounded in repetition and perfect practice habits and standards. Brad Barbarick is the Director of Coaching and Player Development for Shoot 360. However, that's just the tip of the iceberg. When you dive into the resume of this basketball lifer, he served as the head men's basketball coach at Concordia University, Portland for nearly a quarter century. And he also had a stint as the Director of Athletics for Portland Community College as well. He joined me this week to discuss how Shoot 360 is revolutionizing the game of basketball and how this new chapter in his professional career has rejuvenated his love for the game of basketball. I'm Kevin McShann. Let's have this conversation. Barbarick began our conversation by outlining just how Shoot 360 has really changed the game and elevated the way we train athletes for the sport and to reach their premium and maximum potential in basketball. So, Brian, if you're ready, I'll take a moment to welcome you to the program, and I'm super excited to learn about Shoot 360 this afternoon. Great to see you, and thank you for a few minutes, buddy.
Well, Kevin, it is my pleasure, and let me just tell you, Kevin, that you are an inspiration to me, and you know, your platform here, and you know, you reaching out, you know, let's have this conversation. I've had the chance to listen to some of your podcasts, and I've watched some of your YouTube videos, and you know, as a coach, I got to tell you, I was very, very inspired by, you know, your workouts that you do, you know, to build up your strength and you know, to keep yourself as physically, you know, in the best shape that you possibly can. And you know, Kevin, I think, you know, you need to hear that because that's impressive. And I'm extremely inspired by what you do. I sure will, Kevin. Well, I have been extremely fortunate to begin my work with Shoot 360 here just about 2 months ago. I started on March 1st officially with the company. The company was started in 2012. We're 10 years old, and it was started by Coach Craig Moody. Craig is a longtime colleague and friend of mine, and in fact, Craig Moody and I coached together. I was the head men's basketball coach at Concordia University in Portland, Oregon. In fact, I was the head men's basketball coach there for 25 years. And when I first started as the head coach way back in 1994, Craig Moody was my assistant coach. And Craig and I took the challenge on, and we worked together for 7 years and had some pretty good success. And Craig parlayed that into his own collegiate head coaching job at Cascade College, which was also in Portland. And we went from being the closest coaching colleagues to the closest competitors, and we used to coach against each other. And Craig had always been an entrepreneur. He loved the game, and he started Shoot 360, really with a vision of incorporating technology into basketball training. And it really started with one day. Craig has 3 kids and 2 boys and a daughter. And his youngest son, I can't remember if it was his youngest or his middle son. I think it was actually Luke, his middle son. And he had some of his friends over at the house, and it was a beautiful day outside. And he's like, "Hey, fellas, let's go out. Let's get some shots up. Let's play some hoops." And they were inside playing video games. And they were more interested in playing, video games than going and working on their basketball skills. And Craig told his wife, Jan, he said, "I think I've got it. I think I know how I can really integrate basketball training with technology, make it a gamified or a video game-like experience. And I think we're onto something." And that's really where the idea started. And so, we like to say that we're the world's leader in basketball technology and basketball training. And really that's a true statement, because nobody else is doing what we're doing. And so our facilities, here's the exciting thing, Kevin, is that we started just 10 years ago with the first facility in Beaverton, Oregon, which is a suburb of Portland. You might know Beaverton. That's where Nike is located. And we started with a small facility there in Beaverton, had great success with that. And then we opened up our next facility in Vancouver, Washington. And that's also where our corporate headquarters is at. Our third location was in Los Angeles. And then our fourth location was in Indianapolis, Indiana. And then in 2019, we opened up our fifth location in the San Diego area. And since 2019, Kevin, we now have grown to 23 locations worldwide. And we actually have a location in the Republic of Georgia. We have partnered with 16-year NBA veteran Zaza Pachulia. You might remember Zaza. He played with numerous teams, but won a couple of championships when he was with the Warriors. And he's from the Republic of Georgia. And we opened a facility in the Republic of Georgia. And then we have other facilities all over the United States. We do not have one in Canada yet, but that's going to be one of our locations. We're looking at several locations throughout Canada as well.
Well, I'm super excited to hear about all of the successful expansion you've had with the Endeavor brand, for sure. But I'm curious to ask you about your sort of career pivot, because you mentioned you were a basketball coach for Concordia for so many years. So I'm wondering and fascinated to ask you about your own career pivot and how this new challenge has sort of reinvigorated your love for basketball.
You hit it right on the head. It has definitely reinvigorated my passion. I'd always been involved with Shoot 360 peripherally, obviously, having known Craig for all those years, and we had worked together. And I had several former players that had worked for Shoot 360. I still have several former players that I had the privilege to coach that work for the company. So I had been involved. And, what happened, Kevin, is I spent 25 years, as I mentioned, as a head collegiate coach at Concordia University. And some of the listeners will know Concordia. You would know Concordia. There's one in Canada. Concordia University was the largest private university system in the United States. There was 10 Concordias across the country. And Concordia University, Portland, where I was at, in 2019, they actually closed their doors after 115 years in business. Now, I was one of the fortunate ones in that I resigned my position as head men's basketball coach, and I took another job as a director of athletics at Portland Community College. So I moved from the coaching side of collegiate athletics to the administrative side. And I was at Portland Community College in 2019 up until just 2022 here at the end of February. And obviously, we all know about the worldwide pandemic, and that had a huge impact upon collegiate athletics and some of the things that I was able to do. And coincidentally, Craig came to me and said, look, I have an opportunity as we're growing and expanding the company. I'm really interested in having you be our director of coaching and helping maintain, our product, which is the teaching and learning of basketball. And as we grow, we want to maintain a consistency of that. And so I came on board, and it's just been so exciting, Kevin, the things that I'm getting to do, talk with our coaches and our general managers at our different franchises across, the Shoot 360 nation. And one of the things that I'm working on right now is a curriculum called Next Level, which takes the essential skills that we do a great job in teaching young players, well, in fact, players of all skill levels, shooting, passing, ball handling, dribbling. We teach those skills and putting them in a situation where they're able to translate that into game-like scenarios. And so it's just been super, super exciting for me. And it's just been phenomenal to see the impact and how the technology that we have at Shoot 360 is revolutionizing how people train in the world of basketball.
Yeah, absolutely. And Brad, technology is the wave of the future in basketball, collegiate athletics, and developing players. And I know you're also the director of development for Shoot 360. So tell me, how do you think we can best utilize and harness technology to develop players in the future? And how do you think developing players have most changed to suit today's basketball body?
Boy, it's a great question, Kevin. And the game has evolved, so much. As I mentioned, Craig Moody, our founder and president, he recognized, the role that technology can play, just as you described, and providing, an experience and real-time feedback for the athletes that come in to Shoot 360. So we have proprietary technology in our shooting skill courts called the splash meter. And it's probably a good thing for me to describe to the listeners because it's extremely unique. We have a exclusive relationship with a company called Noah Basketball. And Noah Basketball started, actually owned by John Carter, based in Huntsville, Alabama. His technology we utilize at Shoot 360, and what it does is it really tracks every aspect of a shot. So when you come into a Shoot 360 facility, Kevin, and you want to work on your jump shot, we're going to give you real-time feedback on the arc, the depth of your shot, and the placement in the basket as well, right to left. And we call that the alignment. And every shot that you take, we record. And so at our these, we have members come in, people come in, and we literally give you feedback and we record every shot that you take. So in our facilities, we have over 10 million shots that have been recorded And so we're able to provide that real-time feedback to you, Kevin, on the arc of your shot, the depth and the alignment of your shot. We have numerous NBA clients that use our technology. We have a facility at the Golden State Warriors former practice facility. We have a Shoot 360 location there in Oakland, California. And, Steph Curry, who's arguably the world's greatest shooter, Klay Thompson, who also is a Golden State Warrior, also one of the best shooters in the history of the game. They use our technology, and it's incredible. Steph Curry is such an elite shooter, Kevin, that he tries to make his makes better. He wants to get in to that perfect arc, which we know is 45 degrees based on the millions and millions of shots that our members have taken. We want him to get to the back of the rim. We say back of the rim and down is the best area for a shooter to aim. And, we want him to be right in the middle of the basket. And so Steph is an amazing shooter. He works, he tries to improve his makes. And that's the technology, that we're able to provide.
Yeah, it's a fascinating concept. And one of the reasons I wanted to talk to you this afternoon, because I really think that you're on to sort of revolutionizing the way we look at basketball. Would you agree with that?
Oh, no question. We have a saying, we like to test, track, and train you. Test, track, train. And so when you come into a Shoot 360 facility, Kevin, we're going to be able to give you feedback and it's real time, and we're able to make tremendous improvements quickly. And, that's the exciting thing. You go into our skill cages, our skill courts, I should say, we like to call them skill courts, for ball handling and passing. And we're able, so if you came in, Kevin, and you're working in one of our skill courts on passing, we're going to be able to improve your reaction time, your accuracy. We're able to give you skill challenges that are video game-like to help you improve. And they are super fun. They're engaging, and they really, really help develop, rapid skill development and improvement.
Yeah, absolutely. And Brad, as a former men's basketball head coach, I know you know the importance of building relationships with players and really meeting them where they are as people to maximize them from a physical perspective. So tell me, as a former coach, how do you view building and sustaining relationships with players in today's 21st century?
It's a great question, Kevin. I think, human nature is people want to know that you care and that you have love for them. And I think it doesn't matter if you're, right now I'm actually coaching a 4, 5, and 6-year-old basketball team at the local YMCA here in Vancouver, Washington. And, the one thing that is consistent, whether I'm coaching 4, 5, and 6-year-olds or I'm coaching, 18 to 23-year-old young men, and that is that you care about them and that, you want them to improve and get better, not just as fortune, Kevin. When I was growing up, I grew up in Santa Barbara County, California, about 11 miles from the beach and about 2 hours north of Los Angeles. And as a kid, I was a huge UCLA basketball fan, and I loved John Wooden, and he retired way back in 1975. But I was a kid at that time, and I ended up going to the John Wooden basketball camps when I was in high school, and then I ended up working the camps for John Wooden. And for the listeners, John Wooden won 10 NCAA basketball championships while he was the coach at UCLA, 7 in a row. he was a tremendous coach, but he was just a better person. And I was able to learn so many things about, how to coach and how to treat people. And, Coach Wooden had a definition of success. He said, success is peace of mind, which is a direct result of self-satisfaction in knowing you did your best to become the best that you're capable of becoming. Coach Wooden never talked about winning. He didn't talk about losing. He just talked about giving your best. And I give you that because that's really what shaped my coaching journey. I just want our players, whoever I'm around and coaching, to give their best. And, if you give your best, that's success. And I think that's all we can ask of ourselves, and that's all we can ask of anybody. And, that's why I was so encouraged by you, Kevin. Here you have some physical challenges, and, you work at it, you do this podcast, and you do an amazing job, and that's success. And, I'm honored to speak with you about that today, because that's really what success is all about, giving your best.
Yeah, absolutely. And I appreciate the compliment there, Brad. And I'm wondering your thoughts on, the changing landscape of college sports with this new name, image, and likeness rule, and how it's really changed the game of college athletics, in your opinion.
Man, that is a great question. And the NIL, or name, image, and likeness, as you just described, has turned the NCAA world of college athletics, specifically the revenue sports of football and basketball, upside down. I have significant concerns, of the NIL stuff, because the elite programs in college athletics are the ones that have, the money, the wealth, the ability to attract the elite level players. I think you're going to see, as we like to say, the major, the low major programs, are going to have a much tougher time competing, with those schools that have greater resources. So I think the NIL is going to have a huge impact, across the board. And I don't know that it's positive. I do believe that, student athletes should be compensated or should get a piece of the pie for what, colleges, are receiving based on their performances and what they do for the university. But my hope is that that'll translate to all sports at the NCAA collegiate level. So often the NCAA men's basketball tournament, you may or may not know this, Kevin, but it is the sole funding for the entire NCAA. The March Madness tournament. The football, the FBS football is privatized. The NCAA certainly gets revenue from that, but all of the budgets that the NCAA distributes to all of its members pretty much comes directly from the NCAA men's Division I basketball tournament, the March Madness tournament. And that's kind of crazy. And so you're going to see those schools that compete at a high level in men's basketball and football. I think they're just going to get richer, and the other ones are going to be looking up.
Yeah, absolutely. And Brad, I know that you have a master's degree in education with an emphasis in exercise science, buddy. So how does that help you in your current role? And how does that shape the way you look at the changing landscape of basketball?
Yeah, great question, Kevin. One of the things when you're a small college coach like I was for so many years, and when I say small college, we competed in the NAIA, National Association of Intercollegiate Athletics. And then my last 4 years as the head coach at Concordia, we were NCAA Division II. And, for the first 21 years of my head coaching career, I also was a professor and I taught classes. And one of the classes that I was fortunate to teach was called Sport Skill Analysis. And it was a great class. I loved teaching it. And it was mostly athletes, collegiate athletes or former high school athletes that took the class, and they were preparing, for a career either in teaching and coaching. And, we would look at all the different aspects of the way, sport is taught, how it's coached, best practices for. I've taken that and some of those things that I did, as a teacher, at the collegiate level, and taken that and involved that into our curriculum at Shoot 360. And there's just so many things that, we do so well at Shoot 360 as far as training. We build confidence. Repetitions builds confidence. But we also know that, you come in, Kevin, and be a great shooter or a great passer or ball handler, in our facilities, and you play high school basketball, those skills have to translate to game like. And so, we're working on providing skill challenges that are game like and are transferable. And we just recently rolled out some new technology, some new experiences. We're calling it our Shoot 360 2.0. And that's really taking our experience to another level and providing those skill challenges that really help you as an athlete, as a basketball player, to reach your full potential.
Yeah, and to that point, Brett, I'm curious to ask you about what has you most excited about the future of Shoot 360?
Well, I think what I'm most excited about is, to be a part of a company that is growing and really changing how the game is learned, how it's taught, how it's performed. And, we like to say, the science of sport and the thrill of the game. And, we're continuing to have, great impact upon young people, people of all skill levels and abilities in the game of basketball. And, like you, Kevin, you love the game, and it's constantly evolving and it's changing. The 3-point shot in the last 10 to 12 years, and I mentioned the Golden State Warriors, they've had a huge impact upon how, the game is played. And, we're trying to keep up with that and continuing to be on the cutting edge of technology and training that will really impact the game. We hope to expand. I heard recently, our goal is to have 500 locations worldwide, over the next decade. And so it's just super exciting to be a part of, that mindset and that growth. And, I'm just thrilled to be, part of the company that's growing the game.
Yeah, absolutely. And just as a point of personal, I guess, curiosity, Brad, based on your personal and professional experience, I'm curious, how do you define personal growth, fulfillment, and development? How does that look for you?
Well, I think, again, it kind of goes back to what I said earlier about success. Everybody has their own definition of really, what's successful for them. I believe, if you give your best effort, you feel good about it, that's success. We get so focused on, winning and then if a person loses, we're down on them or we're down on that team or whatever. And, I'm as competitive as anybody. I think you have to have a competitive component, to be a coach and to be an athlete. I'm sure you're competitive, Kevin. You want to give your best and be the best, journalist, broadcaster, podcaster that you can possibly be. And so what I just try to tell people that I come in contact with, be confident in what you do, be confident and feel good about the effort that you give. And if you are, then you're going to be successful. And again, that goes back to, what I mentioned about Coach Wooden, that success quote.
Yeah, absolutely. And Brad, as you know from doing your research on my story, buddy, I was born with what's called spastic quadriplegia cerebral palsy. And one of the main missions I have in life is to promote diversity, equity, and inclusion. And, you know, through the sport of basketball, but I think there's a large opportunity to get that done. So when we look at diversity, equity, and inclusion in the world of basketball, how do you think we can make it more inclusive for individuals with disabilities?
Boy, that's a great question, Kevin. You know, I think we have come so far, and one of the reasons I was so excited to be on, you know, your podcast with you today, let's have this conversation, is because, you know, you're breaking the barrier, you know, for people with disabilities, and you're doing it at a high level. And, you know, and I think basketball, you know, it's a global game that, you know, people of all background, skills, abilities, disabilities can play. And, you know, one of the challenges that we have at Shoot 360 is, you know, we're a member-based facility. You know, you have to pay a fee to come in, you know, but we're looking at ways that we can get people of all abilities, all socioeconomic levels, you know, an opportunity to come into our facility and experience, you know, the training that we offer. You know, and so that's something that, you know, we're looking at very seriously. How can we get better? How can we improve? You know, what I'd love to do is come to Windsor, Ontario. You know, we open up a Shoot 360 and I call you up, Kevin, and you and I go down and we get some shots up and we work on some skills together.
Yeah,
That's gonna be my goal, okay?
yeah, absolutely, Brad. I always love leading by example, and I couldn't think of a more authentic way to do that, buddy. I'm sure you would agree with that.
I definitely would agree. Now I'm going to circle that as a goal that Kevin McShann and Brad Barbarick are going to get together at some point in a Shoot 360, and we're going to get a workout in together.
Well, you know, I'll circle the date on my calendar. You just tell me when you're in town, buddy.
Okay.
It's a date, okay? Okay, as long as we go for lunch afterwards, okay?
Definitely, my treat, brother.
Well, you know, you want to keep my heart just go straight to my stomach, Brad, okay?
Love it.
And Brad, my final question for you today has to do with your own personal and professional legacy and how you want that to be defined.
Well, I just think, you know, all of us want a legacy that, you know, we care and love on people. I really feel like, you know, I've been given such a gift to be involved with basketball, a game that I grew up, I've always loved. You know, it's very rare that, you know, you get to pursue your passion, you know, as an occupation. And, you know, I was able to do that. I knew very early on, Kevin, that I wanted to be a teacher and a coach. I knew when I was about 15. And, you know, my parents are still living. They've been great role models and mentors. My brother is a high school athletic director, but was a longtime high school basketball coach, and his wife is a teacher. And so, you know, I hope that my legacy, you know, as somebody that's been involved in teaching and coaching, you know, is that, you know, he impacted young people's lives. He cared about them. He loved them. And that, you know, I made the world a better place because of that.
Absolutely. And Brian, tell me finally, if people want to get connected with the good work that you do at Shoot 360, what's the best way they can do that?
Absolutely. Thanks for asking. You can go to our website, which is shoot360.com, and that's SHOOT 360.com, and that will tell you all about, you know, our facilities, the various locations. Many of our locations have a specific website just for their specific location, but the shoot360.com you can go to and learn all about the company and the services we offer.
Well, Brad, I have to tell you, as I told you at the onset of our conversation, we both I have a mutual passion for the great game of basketball and the work that you've done as a coach and for your work as a director of development for Shoot 360 is really inspirational, inspiring, and insightful, buddy. And I'm honored to have had the opportunity to spend a few minutes with you today.
Kevin, the pleasure has been mine. I'm just so encouraged by the work that you're doing and truly humbled and honored to be a guest on your podcast. And I'm going to be sure to let other people know about the great work that you're doing. And what a thrill for me to talk about, basketball and the great game that has been so good to me. But really, really just very, very thankful for this opportunity today, Kevin. And I wish you all the best moving forward.